Today, we are highlighting women of wellness, and these are women who have dedicated their lives to sharing holistic and scientific ways to help people find the right path that leads to their health journey. Bloom Health Club starts right now.
From the Stream Center, welcome to Bloom Health Club, sponsored by Monticciolo Family and Sedation Dentistry.
Welcome to Bloom Health Club. I am your host, Gayle Guyardo, and today we are helping you deep dive into the root causes of your health problems, and some of that might be hidden trauma. So we're going to be healing you from the inside out today. Our Bloom Health guests are functional medicine expert, Dr. Jessica Peatross, and holistic growth practitioner, Heather Elkins. Ladies, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us. Absolutely.
So Dr. Jess, I know you started in traditional medicine, but along the way you realized that the system turned into 10 minutes a visit. A lot of prescriptions were being written, and you decided to dig a little deeper with your patients to find out the root cause of problems.
I did. Absolutely. Yeah, it's much more fulfilling to get people off of medicine than put them on, actually.
It really is. And then I want to loop in, Heather, the important role that you play in all of this. It actually started with your own health journey where you decided, I need to learn to heal from within. So you do a lot of somatic healing and you teach people how to stay grounded.
Yes, absolutely. I had a health journey that was many diagnoses, and I started looking at the emotional root causes of unresolved emotions that can play a role in our medical landscape.
And I think, Dr. Jess, the trauma that a lot of us bury inside of us leads to way more concerns with our health than people realize. I think, you say there's trauma linked to what it physically starts to manifest. Give me some examples of that.
Absolutely. So one that is published in all medical journals that most doctors know about is one of the adverse childhood events, where it changes methylation on our DNA the more trauma we have throughout childhood and the more we sustain, which unfortunately leads to a higher risk of autoimmunity later in life. And we see this in intergenerational trauma as well. I see a lot of flight or fight, being stuck in sympathetic overdrive, leading to chronic health conditions later on.
So Heather, how do you help people heal when it comes to dealing with trauma?
Well, I always am in a lot of times partnerships with mental health advisors so that people can have great talk therapy. That's really important. But I help people understand the landscape of root causes. If you go to a funeral and you hear a lot of coughing, lungs are grief. For me, I had my thyroid removed because of Graves' disease. And once I found out that our thyroid emotionally is connected to using our voice, I realized that in my childhood, I didn't use my voice a lot. So just helping people connect root causes, also understanding we do not cause our illnesses, but it helps us to hold up a mirror and start looking at what could this be? What could be behind this? And start working on the emotions also.
That's really, really fascinating. And I know, Dr. Jess, you totally subscribe to this. It's something that you actually talk to your patients about. You have kind of switched gears into a completely holistic way of treating patients. What led you to do that?
Absolutely. Great question. So, I went to regular medical school. I was board certified in internal medicine. I was a hospitalist, which is sort of the quarterback of the team of the hospital. And as I went on in my journey, years in the hospital, I started to see crevices or cracks form. I had questions which no one could answer and make me feel satisfied about. They literally I was discharging patients on 30 or 40 medications at a time, and then we'd see them in the emergency department the next week. So I felt like I wasn't getting to the root cause for them. We also had a lot of known popular convenience brands in the cafeteria that we fed to people with cancer or chronically ill patients. And I just really couldn't stand for that over time. And when I asked questions, people really just wanted me to work and not say anything, which it pulled at my heartstrings. It wasn't aligned with me.
I want to bring in our producer and director of the podcast today, Nacha Castilla. And we spent a lot of time in the Bloom office because together, alongside our other producer, Lily, we craft a 1-hour globally syndicated health and wellness show, which you both have been on before. And Nacha, you and I talk about this a lot, about like some of the health, like I deal with thyroid issues. Now I'm, dealing with Epstein-Barr. You were just diagnosed with celiac disease. Like things seems like more and more that they're bubbling to the surface. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I guess it's kind of interesting because it's like, how do these things develop? At least in my case, there's no celiac disease cases in my family. So it's very interesting, like what exactly is in our food or maybe in our medications or that's attacking our immune system or making things switch.
It's a great question. That's, I think, what a lot of functional medicine doctors and other practitioners like Heather and I are asking these days is, the medications haven't been the lifesaver that people have needed for a lot of chronic health conditions. So what else can we look at? What are the root causes as to why so many people in epidemic proportions are being diagnosed with things like autoimmunity, celiac, gut issues, stealth pathogens, all this.
And so what are you finding? Like what are some of the answers that are bubbling to the top?
I think Heather would agree with me, but I have to say really it all starts from being pushed out of homeostasis in the body, usually with emotions in our autonomic nervous system, which is the sympathetic versus the parasympathetic, rest and digest versus flight or fight. And when the body is imbalanced in those two, you kind of become a sitting duck for the body to hold on to toxins or pathogens if exposed.
So Heather, when people come to you, and you mentioned earlier that you work with mental health care providers, which I think is very forward thinking. I mean, I've gone through with a somatic expert, like sitting down and feeling what I needed to feel, but you actually put it into motion, correct? You teach people body movements and grounding movements.
I do. And to piggyback on the celiac, I also have that diagnosis. I think something to mention that we need to be aware of is how we talk to ourselves about ourselves. So instead of going into a restaurant and saying, my celiac, it's important to say, I have a diagnosis of celiac. Are there any options for me? Because then you're not attached to it. You're not married to it. So with any diagnosis, I really try to bring awareness around. I had someone that I knew that her whole entire cancer diagnosis, she called it my cancer. And so it is hard to move forward sometimes when we're so attached to that diagnosis. So the way that I work with clients with any diagnosis is different modalities such as breath work, somatic movement, guided meditations, and I work with flower essences that help bring out of balance emotions back into balance. And so when you do a one-on-one session with me, you leave with a custom blend for you that's kind of an extension of the session to help you over the next 4 weeks.
And Dr. Jess, you're working with something very similar right now. Like we were talking earlier about the autoimmune situation, my thyroid problems, which, by the way, I believe the statistic is like 80% of people, especially women, are walking around with thyroid issues and they don't even know what's draining them. So talk to me about the homeopathic answers that you're trying to give to your patients.
Yeah, absolutely. There are a lot of things that herbs can do, but homeopathics are something that I really respect and have been around thousands of years. They're very old in Germany and other European countries, and it's like cures like. So I have a homeopathic kit that is made for stealth pathogens. So things like cytomegalovirus, Epstein-Barr virus, parvovirus, ones that are very stealth that aren't checked in conventional blood work usually. But if you find them, they can cause things like arthritis in people, swollen glands, fatigue, brain fog in people, these kind of mysterious symptoms that go unchecked in conventional medicine many times. So if you have a stealth pathogen, let's say Epstein-Barr virus, for example, we not only treat it with almost like an allergy shot, we're giving the body the antigen or foreign intruder that it missed. So you see it at this level. No? How about at this level? How about at this higher level? And you take ascending vials and you go descending, and the body finally recognizes the problem, which means sometimes it sets off the inflammation cascade to get rid of it. So when it sees something it missed, kill. And we want that, right? We want people to have maybe a little bit of fatigue, a little bit of a fever when doing this. The body is correcting itself at that time. That's the only way the body can see and correct it 100% is for it to see the problem and kind of streamline down on it. So homeopathics do this for people. And so with stealth pathogens being so stubborn, hard to diagnose, hard to get rid of, homeopathics really kind of zero in on that.
I wanted to ask what tools are being given, because I feel like an experience that a lot of people have is they go to the doctor, they get diagnosed, and it's like, well, this is what you have. At least for me, it was like, well, this is celiac, and this is what you have. But they don't prepare you or give you any tools, I guess, for like the mental health toll that it will take on you, or the countless hours that you'll have to look at, ingredients on a label at the store, the adjustments that you have to do in life. Like what tools should be given?
Well, may I make a suggestion?
Yes.
There's a flower essence called walnut that will help you a lot. It's for transitions and changes. It is extremely overwhelming to have a diagnosis that is actually, this is the time if you're going to get that kind of diagnosis, because when I was diagnosed with celiac in 2010, there was nothing. I mean, there was nothing. Now, I really don't eat boxed food. I really went whole foods. But at least now, if you want a cookie during the holidays, there is an option. But I think the most important thing is just honoring yourself during the transitions and changes, because it's a really big thing. So walnut, flower essence, we can talk more about it. But for anybody going through any transitions and changes, divorce, menopause, diagnosis, walnut flower essence, just add a few drops to your water 4 times a day, and it really helps you get over the hump. It also helps protect you from the influence of other people, which during the holidays, we all need a little bubble
Yes,
around
we
us.
do.
So put it in your aura mist, and whatever room spray you're using, add 10 drops of walnut, and it is a little trick of the trade.
Can I say too that maybe search out some great Facebook groups as well? That might be like celiac Facebook group, right? I mean, I run a parasite Facebook group, right? So there's these very, contained niches there that I think you can find like-minded people, get great advice for people who've already been through the struggle. And then there are certain platforms. I have a do-it-yourself platform that teaches you how to be your own best doctor. There are things out there if you look, so you don't have to feel like you're alone.
Okay.
I like that. That is really good to know, because a lot of people don't get the tools that they need when it comes to healing. Now, where do you guys stand? Like, so if I've been diagnosed with hypothyroidism, I've made a ton of changes in what I eat, how I live my life. I still don't have the Epstein-Barr situation under control yet, but are there ways to kind of pivot with these diagnoses? I mean, is this something that you have to live with for the rest of your life, or is there turning it around, or at least getting it to a much more manageable state?
Absolutely. I mean, this is why I love my job. This is what I do every day for people. So it's often better than Christmas to see people actually feel like their 20-year-old selves again. But yes, with the combination, I do everything holistically. I feel like the body doesn't reel like it does from conventional medicines. It may not work as fast. You don't have the side effects either that way. So you can do everything holistically with herbs, homeopathics, everything else, and people can reverse their diagnoses. They don't have to carry that label with them for eternity.
Are you guys, and again, if this is something, I guess I like to lob these questions out, and if it's a subject that you don't want to discuss, just feel free to say so. But is it my imagination, and I'm not saying that I'm an anti-vaxxer by any stretch of the imagination. I know vaccines probably helped a lot of people that were compromised and had their health compromised, but I've also seen a lot of healthy people since being vaccinated with COVID, and there's been a lot of articles, Yale studies. I mean, it's not just something that I'm throwing out there. In the beginning, nobody was talking about it, but it seems more and more people are starting to figure out that long COVID doesn't mean that you still have COVID. Long COVID is what's happened to your body, either because of contracting, the virus, or getting the vaccine. And then people are really struggling with their immune systems. Is that something that you guys see and hear when you're out and about?
All the time, every day. In fact, I'll tie it full circle for you. COVID does this thing where it rattles the nervous system, and the vagus nerve is the heralding nerve of the nervous system, runs from the brain all the way down to the small intestines. And when it's rattled, you don't feel safe out in the world. Your body doesn't feel safe. So they produce a lot of histamine, which causes puffiness and fatigue and itchiness and bloating. And then when people are stressed out and the body is stressed out, Epstein-Barr reactivates. So in a case from the World Health Organization, they did a study. They showed that 74% of people with long COVID had Epstein-Barr reactivated. And so it's actually reactivated pathogens oftentimes. Even Lyme disease can reactivate under long COVID. So it's actually not long COVID. It's the things that it lets allow to be there.
Right. And I just wanted to clarify that, because I think a lot of people hear the term long COVID and they think, well, I don't have COVID anymore. That's not what the phrase means. The phrase is, what is the residual of this? Talk to me a little bit about how you address people that are still not feeling right because of maybe the vaccine, maybe the virus, but whatever it is, they're still not back to normal.
Yeah, I always work with my friends that are integrative doctors, and on the mental health side, I think right now nervous system repair is such a big, beautiful word for across the board in all industries. Just getting back to homeostasis with your nervous system, going back and just slowing down, grounding in nature. I always say, people say, oh, get to the bottom of an oak tree and just sit there and plant your butt at the bottom of the oak tree. The magic with oak trees is in the middle, because in the forest, if there's a forest fire, the oak trees talk to each other through their root systems. And so if you have oak trees in your backyard and you have grandfather here and grandmother here, find that umbrella and sit beneath them and just meditate for 10 minutes or pray, whatever that self-care is for you. That is where the magic is just getting back. Take off your shoes, get in nature. That is a good place to start.
I like that. I will tell you that I had the rude awakening of just having a few days off. I for the first time in really many, many years, I took time off and I didn't go do anything. I wasn't on any trips. I wasn't on any planes, trains, or automobiles. I was home. Yeah. And the transition from being so overwired here to doing nothing almost left me more anxious than being stuck in this fight or flight mode that I live my life in. I actually started to feel down, depressed, lethargic. I thought, man, Gayle, you don't even know how to calm down. Like, you don't even know where to begin to shut it all down. And when you start trying or even think about it, you feel guilty. You know, like you're doing something wrong by not living. And I think we get into this fight or flight and we don't know how to get out of it.
And a lot of people don't know what their yes is and what their no is. And for those of us that I spent most of my life running. I would hit the floor running and I would go all the time. And then when I started really healing my nervous system and really looking up at myself and having spiritual practices, I was like, what am I running from? Why am I running all the time? Because as long as you're running, you're not feeling. And so I really had to look at that and say, what's going on, Heather? Like, slow down. And then when you slow down, it is not uncommon to really feel a sense of depression or anxiety or like, what is happening here? That is where I really start saying, look at your yes and no. Some people do not know what their yes is. Or their no is. They really don't know their no. And they say yes to everything. And so I kind of say, if it's not a full yes, it's a no. If it's not an FFY, it's a no. So getting to know your yes or no, putting a plate of food in front of you that might not be beneficial. Look at it and ask yourself, is this a yes or is this a no? Or a cell phone or something positive. If it's the color yellow and that brings joy, look at that and feel your yes. So getting to know your yes or no is so important, to know what to say no to so that you can heal.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do believe, like, and I've talked to both of you very openly and, candidly about this. I think as women, when we start to shift in life and go into a new direction that's different from what we do know, like, maybe the empty nester stage that I'm about to face, pivoting in life so that I can find more balance with my spouse, who's been very patient with me in this job for many, many years. When you start to head in a new direction, it's crazy to me how the negative thoughts start to flood and overtake your body, and it just it throws your nervous system completely off kilter.
When your body is hardwired a certain way, it will go to what's familiar, not what you need. So it takes a level of awareness on top of that to break that cycle so you can heal, because we don't want to keep perpetuating the same cycle that's not beneficial.
Yeah. And your thoughts about that, Heather?
Well, we're all in this together. Look, I've been battling anxiety lately. I'm waking up in the middle of the night and I don't know what's going on. And I realize that the former people pleaser in me, she's still there and she wants to just show up every now and then. And so I'm having really hard conversations with that part of me, because even if we have the tools, we're still human. And so giving ourselves the grace to go backwards sometimes is okay, and just being okay with it, because even though Jess and I have the tools, we're not perfect, we're human.
Yeah. And I think now more than ever during, the holiday time is when that is when I'm waking up with anxiety. And it's not because of maybe the number of gifts I have to buy or what I have to do or what lies before me, but it does seem to bubble up a lot of emotions that you really haven't dealt with, be it grief, family estrangement, so many, or that annoying relative that is like a hemorrhoid that just won't stop.
No idea what you're talking about.
Everybody's got one of those, right? It just won't stop. And so how would you suggest, dealing with that, Dr. Jess?
I love what Heather said about slowing down, but just remember that if you slow down and the anxiety comes up and you feel worse, man, there's a little bit of work to do there, right? Because I know that game. That's the healer's plight, to just work and help other people and never have to attend to your own negative thoughts or emotions. So I would say really becoming the observer of your own thoughts and really learning to slow down and not just doom scroll on your phone. Just sit in the silence and be okay with that.
Be okay with those thoughts.
Yeah, they're uncomfortable. They'll pass. Everything's temporary. Feelings aren't facts.
I like that. That is a great way to think about it. And Heather, you also said something that really resonated, and that was the constant busyness is because you don't want to feel what you need to feel.
Yeah. I always say obstacles are opportunities. And so really getting in tune with ourselves, and especially the busyness part. It is a busy time of year. We're all busy, but just taking time for yourself, creating daily mantras. So every morning that I get up, I close my eyes before my feet hit the ground and I say, what do I need today? What does my body need? What does my soul need? What does my spirit need? And it might be missing that workout. It might be creating a mantra, and just filling in the blank. I am blank, whatever it is. I am love. Every day, just creating a mantra and just sticking with it the whole day.
And like you said, Dr. Jess, this might be work that needs to be done. It's like I do get up and I go to the gym, and after so many years, I start to see the results. I changed my diet completely. I see the results. The one thing that I have not learned to change is this busy mind, the negative thoughts, and whatever my need for constantly being busy. Busyaholism, I think somebody labeled it like you might have alcoholism. Some people might have busyaholism. And I think I have that. I think it's a big problem. And so you're saying that it may not resolve in a day, a week, or even a month, but you got to start that part of the healing, because if not, it's going to manifest into physical illness.
Absolutely. And I not to overwhelm everyone, it's really impossible, really, almost to change ourselves overnight. So just do something small and different and positive every day. If you keep adding on to that, then you've got your change over time. So I think many of us get overwhelmed thinking we have to make a change immediately. Yeah.
All right. Well, ladies, share with our viewers and listeners how they can find you. Dr. Jess, we'll start with you.
Yeah. So if you guys want to see free information and you're on social media, you can find me on Instagram at Dr. Jess MD, YouTube, Dr. Jessica Peatross. And then I also have a platform that I mentioned where you do it yourself, learn to be your own best doctor, which is wellnessplus.com.
I love that. Yeah. How about you, Heather?
For me, it's Heather Elkins Holistics on Instagram and for my website. And I have a free 8-minute guided meditation to weed your garden. Perfect for the holidays, and you can find that on Instagram.
Okay, I will definitely start weeding my garden. I need to do that. Listen, ladies, I can't thank you enough for joining us today. I think this is the time of year that we need to be thinking about this, repairing ourselves and facing soon 2026. It's going to be here before we know it. Nacha, thanks so much for switching today. And of course, a special thanks to Monticciolo Family and Sedation Dentistry for believing in Bloom Health Club so we can bring on these experts and share this very valuable information with you. And don't forget, you can watch our streaming show, Bloom Health Club, on Apple TV, Fire TV, Roku, Samsung TV, WFLA.com, and YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. I will see you on the next Bloom Health Club.